Namaste, Suswagatam, and welcome to our Sunday edition of Words of Wisdom Gyan Ganga on our Virat Hindustan Sangam social media channels. It is a very great day today because today is our 250th episode. What started during the COVID on Ram Navami Day on 2nd of April 2020 as a daily program, Gyan Ganga and Words of Wisdom with Dr. Subramanian Swamy is now 250th episode. Today is our 250th episode. And earlier on, we were a daily program till the COVID got relaxed. And then we converted into a Sunday program at 8 p.m. I have to thank all our viewers, our guests, our team members, and our panelists for growing viewership across the globe in 120 countries and more who watch this program every Sunday. So without wasting much time, we have a very interesting topic today, consequences of Donald Trump's victory for India. And this will be our discussion for the next 45 minutes. Dr. Swamy, as usual, will start with the opening remarks. And as you know, we have Ramesh Swamy based in United States. He'll give us a background and some figures and some issues that could be the consequences on the victory, consequences for India on Donald Trump resuming his presidency in 2025 in January. So with these words, it is over to Dr. Subramanian Swamy.
Thank you, Jagdish. Let me start by saying that Ramesh Swamy was from day one telling me that Trump is going to win. At a time when very few people in the middle classes thought so. A large number of intellectuals who I interacted with in the United States also didn't think he would be a serious candidate with all that has happened in the last 4 years. So therefore, we thought the best person to give us a correct picture of what's going on is Ramesh, and so we have asked him and he's agreed to lead the discussion. As usual, of course, I have a few points to make in the beginning and point out to you that, first of all, I think the first 6 months is going to be crucial, particularly starting from February to, say, July. And much of the policies that Trump is going to follow will be known during that time. I would say, first of all, what I have seen from his speeches, plus what I've been hearing from his associates who talk to their friends, and those people, some of them I happen to know, so they tell me, is that Trump is going to raise tariffs in a big way because he thinks that the Americans are being sucked out, are being cheated, this, that, etc. In his private conversation, he's very, very anti the way the India export-import has been handled. So probably we should expect that India is going to face a little crunch in the export to the United States. So this is one thing that I would like Ramesh to apprise us as whether he has heard something similar or he thinks it's a probable, etc. The second thing is that there will be a very sharp rise in restrictions on visas, and that Trump will not be able to make any special arrangement for India, although Indians generally produce very good technicians, mathematicians, professors, and so on, and there's a big demand for it. But somehow the undercurrent is that the American cultural system should not be so thoroughly diluted that it becomes unrecognizable. I'm putting it very gently. What means is that the Anglo-Saxon component of America is about 75%. And I think Trump is very, very, very much of the view that percentage should not drop significantly. So Indian intellectuals and so on who had hoped to go and live in America and make a good killing, so on, that would be, it should be moderated, in my opinion, in the sense that we may not have such a easy access to United States for green cards and things like that. Of course, if you want to go as a tourist and all, there'll be just no objections at all. Then the other thing is that we may find very soon that the policies followed by the United States and the system we have in our foreign exchange, there are foreign exchange which is running around at 84 rupees a dollar. Please, I want to remind you that when Janata Party gave up its office in 1978, what is at the end of 79. At that time, we had left with India with 10 rupees to a dollar, and now it is 84 rupees a dollar, and we are expecting, according to experts in the United States, that the policies we are going to follow will mean the rupee will be about 95 rupees per dollar, and that will be a crunch for those who want to go to America from India. Another aspect is that I think that Trump will be much less friendly with India than before, because I do get a sense from talking here and there, and it's not confirmed, but I get a sense that he's a little cut up with Modi. Trump is a little cut up with Modi because there was you may remember Modi had gone to the United Nations, and then he decided he wanted to meet the President of the United States, and he called a meeting of the Quad, that is those four countries which met, and there all they discussed was only one item, and that is to some of these medicinal things for well-known people who purvey that in India. And that should be cleared by Mr. Modi, and Modi cleared it. And when Modi plan to go to America became public, Trump enthusiastically said, "Oh, I look forward to meeting him when he's here." And for some reason, Modi replied, no, he was not going to meet him. That all came in the newspapers. I've re-looked at those newspapers, and I do find that is there. That this was, and it was not contradicted. Now, I think a man like Trump may not show it in explicit terms, but that has shown in the way that we have been. I mean, Ramesh might correct me sitting in America, but I do feel that there is much less enthusiasm about India than I would have expected in normal circumstances. There's very little reference to India. And even the meeting that is the conversation that is supposed to have taken place, nobody's clear whether it took place with whom and with what was actually stated. In fact, in India, we find suddenly the whole news media's coverage has now gone down to almost zero of Modi and Trump working together. There's hardly any reference to it in the media just now. Now, I think what we need to find out is the most important thing would be that which are the countries that Modi has, which are the countries which Trump has mentioned. And I find that he has mentioned China, he has mentioned Pakistan, in his one of his main speeches, and even he has referred to Bangladesh. So I have found hardly any reference, unless Ramesh corrects us, to India and how United States and India are going to be working together from Trump himself. So I would say that knowing the ego of popularly known views about how Trump reacts of personal insults and so on, or what he considers as personal interests or insults. So I feel now that we are going to have a period of some coldness, and unless we handle this Indo-US relationship more carefully, in which we can't play on both sides. You can't go to be with Russia, and we can't be at the same time with the United States. We can't be with China. In fact, you see, the world knows. Indians don't know, except few Indians like myself who have done independent research. A lot of land has been ceded to China, and it is being we have been falsely told that we have come to an agreement on the border. In fact, Depsang itself, which is a very crucial area which divides India and China, that part the Chinese have been allowed a big chunk. So then in other parts of Ladakh, where China, which had encroached on that land, there's been hardly any withdrawal of theirs. In fact, they have forced India to a new no zone, the no zone areas, where India has gone further back from what it was. So the Chinese also went back, but the Chinese have occupied Indian territory and went back, and it's now become a zone, zone free. So I think this also goes around the world, and we are increasingly appearing to the world as a weak leadership country, which can be pushed around. This, in my opinion, is going to put us in a great difficulty in dealing with Trump. Over to you, Ramesh. These are my initial comments.
Thank you, Dr. Swamy. Thank you, viewers. Hello, viewers. It's good to be back after a while. Dr. Swamy, last week was pretty exciting from the U.S. election standpoint. Many of the pundits did not predict the kind of victory that Trump achieved today. They said, "Oh, the election is going to be too close to call. We might not know the outcome of the election for more than like 15 days, 10 days, leave alone the nonsense that we deal with the way elections are conducted in America. That might even take a whole day, but we'll not discuss that today. But let us just look at the outcome, Dr. Swamy. Trump has got almost 74.5 million votes among the popular vote. So basically, there is a huge shift. People have voted in large numbers for Trump. Even the pundits, so-called psephologists, are stunned. But I was very clear from day one that he's going to get a victory and an landslide. Very basic thing, Dr. Swamy, the economy and the border was a huge issue for America. And the Democrats had only one policy in their hand, which was just say, hate Trump. I think that kind of worked against them because they didn't have anything to counter, because the people were really looking for, okay, it does cost me more to put food on the table than I was 4 years ago when Trump was there. Whatever be the case, COVID and all, we can give you 10,000 reasons, but at the end of the day, Trump's messaging to the people went really well. And the third, of course, is some part of this, all this woke agenda being all those things. Those are all having a lot of impact on different classes of society. Healthcare is an issue, but overall, Trump's messaging was more effective, and that's why you could see that in the outcome. In fact, Trump broke through what we call is the blue wall of Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. He won all the 3 states. So that has sent shockwaves among the Democratic establishment. In fact, in New York and New Jersey, Dr. Swamy, Trump lost by only a mere 5 or 6%. So another couple of percent here or there next time, New York and New Jersey might also become a swing state, because the margin of error typically statistically is about 3-4%. So he's just outside the margin of error. New Jersey again voted extensively. The other big point is Kamala did not win the same amount of votes. She has not won a single county, Dr. Swamy. She did not gain more votes than what Biden did. So that shows that the support is slipping rapidly, even though the Democrats were trumping, pun intended, trumping up the issue of abortion and other things. The people said, okay, economy comes first. Yes, that is also important for a lot of people, but economy comes first. Now, I want to delve into the Indian American voting percentages, Dr. Swamy. Indian Americans constitute about 4.6 million population-wise. Roughly, I would say about 2 million, 2.5 million vote. They have been traditionally supporting Democrats. For example, when Hillary Clinton ran, 84% of the Indian Americans voted for her. Okay. Then it went down to about 68, 69% for Biden. And for Kamala, it has dropped even further to 60%. Trump got about 22% of Indian American votes back in 2020. It has jumped to about 31% now. But there is a caveat here. The old horse of Indian Americans still voted Kamala, but the young generation, and in large numbers, I'm talking about 30 and below, have moved to Trump significantly. And even more among college, 18 plus, that 18 to 25 range. So there is a shift even among the Indian Americans. The 30 plus people, the old horses, still think that they want to go Democrat. But the less than 30, things like that, people who are, parents who have just have kids, so they are bothered by multiple issues. As I said, economy is one. Second, what's getting taught in schools, the culture in general changing. They are afraid of all of those things. This, even though a lot of the Indian Americans are kind of right-wing in India, but they're left-wing in America. So I don't understand this dichotomy, but it is kind of strange that a lot of people have this kind of an understanding as far as the Indian Americans are concerned. Indian Americans are about 20% of the all Asian American population. Okay, so it is rather surprising that the Indian Americans chose this kind of a pattern, but I think they're moving towards a more balanced approach, or they have moved toward the thing, but still a predominant support for Indian Americans is towards the Democrats. This might have a slight impact. We don't know how far it's going to go, but we'll have to see as we move forward, because the community is the richest community among all, even including whites. We are, including white Americans or Caucasian, we are the richest community per capita income or annual income. We are the number one. We are the second largest minority after Mexican Americans. So I think in all of this, Dr. Swamy, shows that we should have a significant strength or a call that we have to have a seat at the table, but we have zero. We are not together. We're not organized. We still have the same itty-bitty fights, and so even though it's happening in little pockets, but I think the Indian Americans' biggest loss, in spite of all of these strengths, is we are not organized, or we don't get together. But if you look at the other three communities, Hispanic Americans, men have shifted significantly towards Trump, and Trump has acknowledged that, and he's going to take some and help them or support them. Indian Americans have not taken advantage of being what we are today. So I think it's challenging from the Indian Americans' perspective that we are not well organized. We don't have a single vote. We don't have an organization, right? So we need to come together, even though there are multiple, there is no single voice. Surprisingly, Dr. Swamy, League of Arab Americans supported Trump. They openly came and endorsed Trump in Michigan. And a significant shift in that vote has also helped him win in Michigan. So these things matter. These things really matter, whether they voted or not, but they put their bet behind Trump, and Trump won Michigan. And in Wisconsin, the Arab Americans there, they have supported Trump. So there is going to be a lot of advantage for that kind of a community. But India law, as far as I would say, Indian Americans failed to do such a move, or rather, they'll say, okay, there is an association of Indian Americans, but they have like, even though we are only a small number, we have more organizations, I guess. But we need to get together, get our act together, the Indian American community. This is just a way I think going forward we should think about it. Because if you look at the Republican side, the number of Indian American origin candidates were also more on the Republican side. I mean, significant person being Vivek Ramaswamy. Tulsi has her own thing. I mean, I'm not denying that Kamala has her Indian roots, but I think they have made a significant impact. And I think Indian Americans should have a better say and seat at the table. Now, coming to the issue, Dr. Swamy, you mentioned about China tariffs. I strongly feel this is a negotiating tactic. Trump is very transactional in nature. What can you give me so that I can give back something to you? Okay, this is my stand. I'm going to impose 100% tariff on everything. So now what do you say? Whether he's going to, I don't think Trump is going to impose 100% tariff or 40% tariff, like what they claim. But at the end of the day, he's just going to use this as a negotiating tactic. But I see this China tariff issue a huge opportunity for India. There are serious big corporations trying to move their manufacturing to India, move their sourcing from India. But if India acts prudently, and if we can show or demonstrate to America, because at the end of the day, Trump is not just going to say, I'm going to buy more from you. That's not going to work. He say, okay, you are not, India's trade surplus with America is so off balance that Trump is going to come heavily down on India and saying that you're not allowing me access to any of your markets, but you want America to be open to you fully. Because if the tariff can also have an impact on India, because Trump will say, okay, I don't see the balance in our trade, so I'm going to impose tariffs on you. That will have a significant impact. You mentioned one thing about the visas. Will have a significant impact on our software exports, essentially, because India has about 106 billion, 108, 110 billion dollars worth of software exports to the US. I think that's going to have a major impact because if Trump turns his eye on it, so we have to be careful. India needs to acknowledge that. And plus, we have about 10, 12 billion. Everything else is small, Dr. Swamy, because diamond exports are about 10 billion. I mean, those things are not that significant, but America is definitely going to use this thing to come back and tariff not only on China, with every country. He's already mentioned that. So India needs to be careful. There is an opportunity, because if there are more tariffs in China, India can do something. But India needs to also be ready to negotiate with Trump, because he's a transactional guy. You can't just somebody just waltz around and some bureaucrat cannot go try to dance around his tunes. It is not going to happen. I think India needs to be very clear who they're dealing with. This guy is a businessman. India is going to have a tough time, because his selection of people around that also is going to be according to his tactic. India again has a lot of opportunity, because US also depends on China on a lot of things. I think India has opportunities, but it needs to open up more. One thing that I have a kind of a fear, because I've been reading news that yesterday even the minister said that the auction for satellite broadband, it's not going to be an auction, it's just going to be a contract or something like that. I don't think that's a good move, because obviously Elon Musk is going to put the pressure on Trump, and Trump is going to ask for India, saying that open up satellite broadband. And at the end of the day, in the world, there are only one and maybe two in India. Raghavendra, I'll address your question a little bit later about your Elon Musk starting a Tesla plant in India. There is an opportunity, okay? There is an opportunity, but there are other significant issues as to why you can't just start up a manufacturing unit in India. Because Elon Musk is very much like Trump. He just you give me an area and don't ask me what I'm doing there. That's not going to work well with India. So that's a different tactic. It's difficult to manage people like Elon Musk, even though he's brilliant and he's done excellent things for America. But coming back, so these are the challenges that India will face in terms of tariff. India is not going to have that much an impact on immigration, but yes, of course, the visa is still going to be an issue. We don't know where it's going to go. Because I've been talking to a friend of mine who's a professor in one of the largest universities in America. PhDs, doctorates who graduate from the US are not getting visas. They're going away, because they're saying the wait list is about 10 years to get a green card. So this is going to have a significant impact so far. But Trump, incidentally, in one of the speeches mentioned saying that anybody who's got a master's degree or a PhD in American university, I don't care which country they are from, they should be given an automatic green card when they graduate. So there is a positive silver lining to this, because that number is very small, but he's very clear. That kind of a talent should not go away. I want to harness the talent. He says, bring those people, keep those people in America. So that could be a positive silver lining for us. But it is a campaign speech as of now. So we don't know if that's going to be affected on, but that is important. And yes, um, I don't know who this Facebook user is, but Trump cannot restrict the USIT. That's not true, because please try to understand, visas are still a challenge. It's a lottery today, so I don't think that statement is very true. And any changes to the immigration policy is going to be through the Congress, and Trump has got a pretty good hold on the Congress today. Hopefully, in another week, we would know if he also got the House, because he's got the President and the Senate. It's a matter of time before the House, and if he gets that too, then it is his way. Please, guys, please try to understand, because that's how those kind of things work. The other sector is defense, Dr. Swamy, with India facing these significant challenges with China and the border. Traditionally, India has never gone and asked for any help from any other country. Maybe if you once or twice, maybe you had asked about through Israel or something like that. I think it's going to be an issue, because US perceives China as a huge threat. And China is flexing its muscles, be it Taiwan or anywhere else, even in India, of course. They've occupied so much of territory. And as of yesterday, again, I saw a news item that said the so-called agreement with Modi is really not happening because China is pushing back. So it's not happening. So I think India needs America. In what kind of relationship in terms of defense is going to be a question. One positive side to this is, again, because US is looking for partners to source parts. Basically, let's say a big Northrop Grumman or huge contractors like here in military side, they might be looking for manufacturing facility in India. Again, I see it as an opportunity, but the terms of what those opportunities are is going to be, as usual, America is going to say it will be on our terms and not on your terms. So that is something that we need to look at. We don't have America is not like, typically America, when it gives kind of a support, military support to any country, that country is pretty much kind of becomes a slave. I think India luckily has stayed away from it, because I think India has predominantly been strong and self-sustaining in its military, because it's always focused on building a strong military. But we just have to see. But we don't have modern weapons. You have already highlighted this multiple times. I think India has put its fingers on all of those places. Related to defense, I think the Ukraine-Russia war is going to change the landscape of the India-US relationship, because Trump is anti-war and is very strongly committed, saying that Russia will have to come to the negotiating table. And if not, there's going to be severe economic sanctions, more economic sanctions on Russia. So that will impact India. Basically, India imports a lot of oil from Russia today and sells downstream process like petroleum products to European countries. That might, because Trump might import a tariff or some kind of restriction on those things, then it'll have severe impact on India. Because India's largest dependency today for oil is Russia. So if something happens, then that might have a huge negative impact on India. Obviously, downstream prices of gas in India or petrol in India would have an impact of that, because India did not open up other sources. The other thing is, if you look at Iran, even though we don't have energy trade with Iran, but we do use their Chabahar port. So that might be under, again, scrutiny, because India uses that port extensively to deal with Afghanistan and other countries there. That might have a impact, because Trump is going to come really strong down on Iran. He made it very clear. So literally, he's going to make zero trade with Iran unless they, completely shut down their nuclear ambition. So that will have an impact on India. This is some important thing. And you did mention about Modi kind of snubbing Trump, and that is not good. Trump always remembers these things. We'll have to see how that plays out. That's not a good tactic. You should have not adopted that. In fact, Zelensky, even though he came to the same meeting in UN, he made sure that he met Trump. Maybe he would have been pressurized not to meet him, but he didn't care. He still met. I think India should have taken that stand. Obviously, the External Affairs Ministry run by bureaucrats. They always want to CYA, so they only think of covering their own hind rather than looking at what a strong policy is. So, because I know historically, when Indira Gandhi was also asked to do the same thing, she put the foot down and she did whatever she wanted. And so I do understand there is a mystery, because India has stood by, as a prime minister should have stood. But instead of listening to bureaucrats today, we are kind of in a wrong place. We're soft ground, as far as I would say, is listening to a bureaucrat as to how these things have to be handled. He might talk smoothly, he might do all of this nonsense, but at the end of the day, Trump is not a normal politician. I think they have to put that in their mind, because you cannot predict how he will move, because he is a pure transactional, what's in it for me, typical American attitude person. So we have to be, he's a businessman to the core. He doesn't care for anything else. He just says, what's best for America, I will do. So India should have no notions of jumping in and saying, I'm going to get something out of this. You'll get zero. Expect zero, get one. That's what I would say. Because Trump is going to say he's going to expect 1,000, he will get 100. So this is where India needs to think how US will negotiate with them. I'm not saying they don't know how to do this, Dr. Swamy, but the new order today is, this is what I perceive where America is going to look at. In terms of, again, coming back to slowly to the tariff part, India, if they're not sharp enough, smart enough, and quick enough, might lose the opportunities, which might actually go to Vietnam, Bangladesh, other Far Eastern countries, because they're ready to do anything for him. They would be more than happy to do, because that's what they want. They want money. So they would open up. So if India is not sharp enough, smart enough in doing those negotiations, India might lose its opportunity there. The mention of India, yes, Dr. Swamy, he did not mention it explicitly. Maybe we might know in the next few weeks or so. But for me, the way I perceive it today, yes, he has spoken about Iran, he's spoken about Russia, he's spoken about Ukraine, he's spoken to prime ministers. Yeah, India is there, but it's like this, Dr. Swamy, Trump cannot ignore India, or India cannot ignore Trump. But it is not a priority today. This is what this is my perception, that it is not a priority today. US has its own internal issues, because our biggest problem is the border. Surprisingly, a huge inflow of this border, majority of them being from India, from Gujarat. So that's exactly what the report says. I'm not building this up or saying this as a thing. India should be open enough to say, send those people back. We'd be more than happy to accept, instead of saying some kind of, we don't know who they are. I don't think India should get into that kind of a mode. They are going to be kicked out, and India should say, okay, what do you need from me to make sure that those guys come back? That is a good tactic for India to adopt and be on Trump's side, rather than feign ignorance or I don't know, I'm not going to support you. One of the biggest issue that I see, Dr. Swamy, is this Nijjar issue. That in Canada, that India is embroiled in. Trump will use this to his maximum advantage. I'm telling you this very clearly. It's not going to go anytime now. It is a significant issue. Even though Trump hates Trudeau in Canada, anything that to his advantage, he will not, yes. And we have to understand that. And as one of the viewers just said, that Trump bullied India to give away medicine. Yep, trust me, it's not going to be easy with them. So we have to understand that. But I feel that it's an opportunity. India has a huge opportunity, especially in what we call as drugs manufacturing. China is one of the largest supplier, but unfortunately, China is also the largest ever supplier to the world as far as the raw material is concerned. So the tightrope walking does happen, but in essence, Trump does see India. He still has a very good soft corner for Indian Americans, because the amount of people that he says, the rally they had in Texas, he still has good memories of it. But I think India should be very careful in treading waters right now where we are, because of the problems that US is facing internally, and Trump hates the wars that are going on and the amount of pressure he's going to put on Russia and other countries that are involved, and wherever and India's direct impact on it, and China, of course. He cannot utter a paragraph without mentioning China once. So India needs to be watchful, and it needs to show strength. And you've always called for this, Dr. Swamy. India needs to show strength and try to kick people back. And we need to push this forward. And unfortunately, India is not showing a backbone to that yet, because we're still trying to do something different. But how we do it, it's up to the bureaucrats or leadership to decide. But I think we need to show our strength, because if US has to support India if there is an aggression by China, India has to show that yes, they are ready to win or ready to fight. US will never support a group that is too weak. Even in Ukraine's case, even though Ukrainians, so many people are dying, but what do Ukrainians do? What is Zelensky sending more of his people to die? that willingness, whether it's futile or not, he's not going to send a single soldier out, Dr. Swamy. Let me be very clear. If something goes on between China and India, he might support you, but unless you show the will and the power to fight. So India needs to be aware of that. And if they come up with that kind of an understanding, then India has an opportunity. So these are the points that I wanted to mention. I think you had asked me some of those questions. I hope I answered them. So if there are any, then I'll be happy to answer.
Well, one question, Jagdish, let me ask him one question. We are not an ally of the United States military.
Absolutely, we're not.
Why should the United States come if we are going to, you want something free of charge? No, the Americans are the people who are very clear. They'll say, put your money where your mouth is, you see. So I would say that we are in a very ticklish situation.
Correct.
The Chinese, earlier on, the Chinese were a little hampered by the fact we have in that Quad arrangement. But that Quad arrangement, India then turned it into environment issue, not a military issue. So United States is not going to come to India's help in a big way, in a sensible way, in a very critical way, unless we are an ally. And we are not an ally. We want to be allied with everybody. Yes, it's the same thing you are seeing in the Middle East. We are also arguing the case of the not Hamas directly, but indirectly. Yes. What is the meaning of this, you see? Yeah. Iran may be fighting with Israel, but the fact is Iran is a Shia country. And it's a one only country which can take on the Sunnis. And Hamas is Sunni. And these two have come together. They're not going to stay together. So we must, have a policy by which we get more friends in a real sense. Oh, I have these foreign ministers, foreign secretaries, all are going all over the world and producing what? Not a single thing that has come out. Modi went to Ukraine. What did he get out of it? In fact, by going at the late stage, he got a lecture from the president of
Putin.
Not Putin, but he got a lecture from
Zelensky too.
Also, telling him that now you are coming. What is the use? You should have come in the beginning. All this, their president gave him a lecture, and he came looking silly. Of course, our newspapers will never produce anything except what Modi tells them to produce. So general public through the media have not known this, but those who are experts, you see, in the country know it, and then that starts slowly filtering down. So what we want is with the United States, either you are going to be with them in a concrete sense against our enemies. You want to fight the Chinese, you have to come to an understanding what the United States is going to do for us in case we decide to take the Chinese on. You know, the recent arrangement they had, and this, it's all settled and all. Now the Chinese have put out in their newspapers that it has not been settled. Absolutely. And in the meantime, they have occupied territory of ours, which was supposed to be ours, you see. All that Modi probably says, koi aaya nahi, koi gaya nahi, and make a fool of all of us. So I am saying today, we are in a situation where we are dealing with a man who is a total American businessman.
Absolutely.
If you want America to be with us, you have to deal in business language. We'll do this for you, but please do this for us.
Correct.
You negotiate on that basis. I think Trump will also be amenable. Otherwise, he'll say, these guys, he'll play around with us and give us lectures, and ultimately all you will find is large number of Indians being kicked out of America because of the visa matter.
Absolutely. Dr. Swamy, we have to show a spine, the steel spine, Dr. Swamy, as far as China. Otherwise, America will not, especially Trump, will not bet on somebody who's weak. That's his nature. Please let me be very clear about it. Others might be diplomatically doing this and that, but I don't think waiters and diplomats can even come back anywhere close to thinking that they can negotiate with Trump. It's not going to happen. he is going to be very clear about this. He just, okay, what's in it for me? You give him something, he'll definitely help you. So that's his nature. One important point that you brought up, Dr. Swamy, is this BRICS Quad. As you said, India has its finger in every 4-letter, 5-letter organizations, global organizations across the globe. I think that's kind of even they can say, oh, we are peaceful with everybody, but that's not going to go well with Trump, because he might say, Dr. Swamy, I don't think he will. He might say it's either BRICS or Quad. So India needs to be prepared for that. Okay, he is not going to accept this BRICS challenging, because the narrative that has been put out there is BRICS is going to challenge the dominance of America or the dollar, because they're going to say BRICS is one current. I am telling you right off the bat, if there is even a whiff of it that happening, Trump will just shut down everything with India, because he doesn't like any country aligning with such a threat to America, quote unquote, an economic or anything. Because where we are today, this is my perception. Okay, I don't, even if 100% of that, even everybody disagrees, I don't care. But I think this is a perceptive problem for India as far as BRICS is concerned, because it has Russia, China, and now Iran. Everybody is joining there. I think we have to be very careful, very, very careful with BRICS. And Trump might come in and pressurize us on Quad. If he says, no, if you're not joining Quad, then you're not going to get anything else. I think India has a lot of opportunity per se with Trump, including getting a seat on the UN Security Council. I think the UN is spent energy, because Trump doesn't like the UN at all. He thinks it's a waste of time spending unnecessary money on it. He might even say, I don't want to support the UN. Because there is going to be severe consequences with this BRICS Quad quagmire, Dr. Swamy. This is my perception. India needs to be very clear as to which side it's standing on, because Trump hates ambiguity. He wants clarity. So those are the challenges. As far as since the topic is there, what are we looking at challenges ahead is, we cannot show that we are all over the place. That's first thing that he hates. He needs clarity and not confusion. Okay, and he needs to show strength, not weakness. He needs to see strength and not weakness, and willing to negotiate on an equal footing, not just sit back and say we will not do anything, but you give us everything. You can't do that. And last but not the least, India has not done this in the past. I don't think we should go with a begging bowl either. So I think this is, in a sense, how India, in the next 4 years, so we'll see where this goes. But I foresee a Republican government at least the next 2 cycles minimum, because where Trump comes in, he leaves it in a good footing, and whoever comes next, because I don't see a good strong bench from the Democrat side. I don't see any leader that matches the the aura of Trump today, to match him even today. They tried with Kamala, it didn't work. Viewers, I do see, you're mentioning we don't need the US economic engineering, but you have to understand India's dependency from US is so huge that India cannot afford to ignore America. Please, you have to be cognizant of this, because all these guys, IT guys sitting in India, you don't have a job if India shuts its thing to you. So please try to understand that India, this kind of grandstanding saying that I don't need you, you don't need me, doesn't work these ways. Please, there is no requirement for a grandstanding. We have to be clear what is pragmatic. We have to be pragmatic in our approach, and that's what I think would take this thing forward. Arvindji or Jagdishji, you muted, huh? Jagdishji.
I have a question, Dr. Swamy, for you and Ramesh, who is based in the US, especially what's happening with Israel, the Hamas, the terrorist attack. And we have heard some speeches after he won the elections on a strong statement on Israel. So from both of you, a quick, perhaps one-liner, two-liner, what will be, after Trump takes over, his attitude towards this terrorist organization of Hamas and Iran and all this support, and on what will happen with the ongoing thing with Israel?
Well, let me say this short sentence is that India still is going and telling Israel that yes, we are our people are all very sympathetic to Israelis, and we have a but we also need to look into the question of the Muslim community, and we will have to balance our statements this is what they are doing also. We are not supporting Israel wholesale. And particularly after the October 7th, there's nothing to discuss. Either Hamas apologizes for what they did in a concrete way, or they should be eliminated from the earth. So, how can you start balancing these two? Yes, there are a lot of liberals who are talking about balancing the two. India, if it wants a friendship with Israel, they'll have to go all the way. And if they want to play a role which will be appreciated by neither side, then you can say a little bit of this and a little bit of that, which is what we are doing today.
But what will be the Trump administration attitude towards these two issues of Israel and Hamas?
I think Trump will go wholesale with Israel.
Absolutely. He's already made that also very clear, Jagdish. He is saying that Israel has to finish the job it started. Essentially, that's what I would say. I mean, that's what he was expecting. That's what he will do with. But because Jagdish, as I said, what is very unique about the election is the Arab American community backed Trump, means there is something going on. You have to understand what is the significance of why did they never ever supported ever.
I'll tell you what the significance is. Iran is a Shia country, and the Sunnis have never accepted them.
Correct.
And all these big countries of Arab area, none of them is participating in this war. It's only the idiot Hamas and Iran. There's nobody else who's come in support, because they don't want to enlarge the hold of Shias. And I wouldn't be surprised from whatever information I've been getting here and there, that it's only a matter of time before Iran suddenly goes to Israel and says, let's have a peace treaty. Otherwise the Sunnis will finish them off completely, and Iran will no more be a Shia country.
Before Arvind takes the next question, Ramesh, this question is directly to you. It relates to a lot of other questions which have come in the comments box. One, people of Indian origin, especially people who are holding Indian passports, who are in America, and those who want to go to America, they have one fear: whether the regime change will be a conducive atmosphere. I'm putting it in very simple words. You have touched upon it. Whether it will be a conducive atmosphere for Indians to get visas and come to work in America, or stay and work in America. This is a big question. Our younger generation, from all the questions which have come up, they want to know what will be the treatment to them.
Jagdish ji, at least let me be blunt first. I think the first 2 years is going to be tough, because Trump promised, even Dr. Swamy mentioned this in the beginning, it's going to be a tough 2 years for the immigration side, because he wants jobs to be created in America. I'll tell you how this can happen. Let's say if an Indian company says, I want to set up a plant in America and bring manufacturing there, and there could be some negotiating back and forth on it. But it is going to be, the next 2 years is going to be difficult. But, as I said today, even extremely qualified people, I'm talking about PhDs who have graduated from the top universities in America, are not getting their visas processed. So they're all going away. So in one significant approach, a lot of the universities are sending these people to Singapore and say, but Singapore has an easier relationship with America in terms of visas. So they're saying, okay, at least from a travel visa, it's not difficult, because in India, you can't even getting a visitor visa these days is very difficult. So they're moving these highly qualified professionals to corporations that hire them. They're placing them in Singapore rather than in India. So this is a disadvantage. Please try, because these are the things that they look at. They want quicker solutions, but I don't think this is going to be solved very quickly yet. But at least for the first 2 years, it is going to be difficult.
Arvind?
Yeah, thanks, Jagdish. Ramesh and Dr. Swamy has already mentioned all the dimensions of the Indo-American relations in days to come. But my question, before I ask question to Dr. Swamy, I have an observation. In fact, entire India will be looking with a lot of interest what action Donald Trump is going to take against Hindu oppression in Bangladesh. During the election campaign, to appease the Hindu votes, he had mentioned that he had supported the Hindus in Bangladesh, and he even warned openly at the Bangladesh administration that if they do not stop the violence against Hindus, then the consequences will be there to Bangladesh. Now, there is a history to this, and history is Muhammad Yunus, who is this microfinance expert who is now taken over Bangladesh. He opposed Trump in 2016 election when he fought against Hillary Clinton. Not only that, symbolically, he also donated money to Clinton's campaign, and whatever that means. But Trump does not take Muhammad Yunus as a friend from 2016
Correct.
onwards.
Correct.
And it is a coincidence that here in Bangladesh, Muhammad Yunus has taken over and Trump has come back. So we'll be watching with a lot of interest, at least those who work for the safety of Hindus, or those who are concerned for Hindus in Bangladesh, will be watching with a lot of interest what action Trump is going to take, or was it only election rhetoric that he was addressing to during the campaign. Now, my question to Dr. Swamy and Ramesh both, India's prosperity has been dependent on a lot of FDI investment in India. And my question is, first, whether India-US trade will grow in the second inning of Donald Trump, or whether FDI from the Indian Americans or American companies, which was significant in India. And though, of course, a lot of Indians, people with Indian origin have taken over American companies, the big corporations, especially in IT field, whether that will continue and they'll continue to get that recognition which they have been getting all this while.
Yes.
You go ahead, Dr. Swamy.
Ramesh, you want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead, sir. Just go.
Yeah. See, the question basically is that India has no positioning in any country in the world where they stand up for us, in political terms. They like Indian scientists, they like Indian professors, all that is there. But when the question of supporting India is concerned, there's no contribution of that. I would say that knowing the world history, unless you're strong enough to defend yourself,
Correct.
you cannot have a personality. You can defeat the Chinese if you want. It's not that we have not defeated Chinese. Only thing is that we were too weak to publicize it, thinking it might annoy the Chinese. For example, in 1967, in the Sikkim border, when the Chinese came with all their tanks and everything to cross into Sikkim, our army picked them up in such a way that if you see the original data that is available, of course I got to see it because at that time I was member of the commission which was dealing with this military affairs. So I got to see it. So I am saying that was one. Second, during Rajiv Gandhi's time, there was Sumdurung Chu Valley, where the Chinese came in full strength, and our 1/10 of that strength beat them, and they went running back to Tibet and then on to where they came from. So we have to show to the world that we are a country which is equal to China, and that if any country is threatened by China, we can support them to fight the Chinese. All the time we are saying all that Modi does is go and have some conference where he is seen grinning and necking them. I mean, I don't know whether these people are embarrassed by the way he embraces them. So that's all he does. Is there anywhere where we have got a place where we can say that because of us, the certain things happen? Take, for instance, today on China. We said that first, koi aaya nahi, koi gaya nahi. Now they are saying we are settling and we are establishing boundaries. With what? With Depsang, where we had no dispute. And the Chinese have come across and they're late complain. The Chinese, what they have done is when Narasimha Rao had worked out these zones where neither side comes in, now the Chinese have come and occupied that zone which we were supposed to keep free from intervention. They've taken it over, and then now they're saying create another the zone where there are no military. So India is backing off. All this is not coming in the press, and I have to go. I've gone to the court, and in the court, I can't go very fast because courts they are loaded with so much work. But the fact is, in the court also, all that the government does is seek adjournments. What is the truth? Please draw the line of what Ladakh and Arunachal and tell us what was it in 2014 when Modi became Prime Minister, and what is it today from military sources. I mean, the government should be fair enough to get it from the military sources and put it down. You will be shocked how much territory has been taken over by China. Now, how can America knows about it, Russia knows about it, so many countries know. How can they have any respect for you? And it doesn't come in the press because we have the most napumsak press in our history. They will not put it in the press even if I give it to them.
Oh.
They will not even. I say you quote my name, and if there's a defamation case, I will take you to go. I will fight for you in court. But they don't want to put.
Arvindji, I'd like to answer one question. You talked about the FDI. I mean,
Right.
the FDI actually has been going down in the past 2-3 years. I mean, and please, the FDI is not going into where it needs to go, where we are setting up manufacturing plants, where they're creating jobs. It's more in the stock market where PN participating on. They're just flipping the money. It's just a kind of a money laundering, though it's not technically, these FDIs are flowing in only as those kind of investments, predominantly into the market, stock market, and this like that. But it is not helping creating more jobs in India. Because if that was the case, we would not have these woeful numbers that we have in India in terms of the unemployment situation that we are facing, crunch that we are facing in India. For that to happen, as I did mention earlier, that is an opportunity for India. With all these FDIs, they have to say, okay, put an FDI in manufacturing or build up more plants here and stuff like that. But a lot of the companies are facing a huge challenge as far as the way India is concerned, because in specifically, I'll give you an example in Tamil Nadu. Samsung had a severe crunch because of there was a huge labor strike and they had to shut down everything. And because they created this hub to be one of the largest manufacturing hub in Southeast Asia to a large extent beyond Korea. They are now thinking twice. Now, what do we do? Can we do it only in Tamil Nadu, or can we go to some other state? India needs to give probably even a sense of direction or a strength, saying that, okay, we are not going to allow you to exploit our workers, but yes, we are going to give you some stability in terms of when you bring manufacturing to India. A, infrastructure. B, consistent power supply. Right, a lot of those things that matter for somebody to move their manufacturing operations. Dr. Swamy has been saying this time and again. This being a professor, the skill set availability is unlimited in India. There is no question about the skill set availability in India. It is a question of harnessing that skill set and giving an environment for companies to set up a plant in India. For example, Apple created one manufacturing, Tata created a facility, there was a fire, then gone. So we can't have this unpredictability, because when a large corporation says, I'm going to sell 10 billion handsets or 10 billion computers, and India says today some policy strike goes, we can't, they need that kind of a stability, saying, oh, shut down, factory shut down, I can't sell the 10 billion units. They can't give that as an excuse to the stock exchange or to their investors. right? So that stability is very, very important. FDI today, I really don't know how much is really going into manufacturing. I think it might be a very low number. I don't have it offhand. But what I have seen so far, and Dr. Swamy has proven to us in time and again, you also given us a lot of information that this FDI is coming through participatory notes into the market, in out kind of an investment rather than good manufacturing, setting up large manufacturing facilities in India. That's what China. See, if you want to compete with China, what has China got going? Enormous funding by the government to set up factories and give them, even though they're so-called communist country, they're the most capitalist country in my view. At no cost should the business or manufacturing suffer. Everything else is politics. But when it comes to that, the Chinese government protects the whoever is the promoter. Half of them their own government, but at the end of the day, they don't allow labor laws. All those things are a little bit loosey goosey, but don't stop manufacturing. Because and that just brings me to a point, Dr. Swamy. This brings to the tariff. China will not say I'm not going to negotiate because China's largest market is America. If China says I'm not going to negotiate and the tariff, then they pretty much have to shut down most of their factories. I don't think they're going to do that. They are sensible people, and Trump also knows this. So that is a very significant. India should use this as an opportunity to prove to Trump or to the US government saying that we will give you the facility, you put the FDI here, or show the investors saying that you don't have to put only in the market to make money. We are giving you, we can prove to you that we have the wherewithal to set up large factories. Again, crony capitalism is not going to work. Just give it to only one or two people. Every manufacturing facility goes to one of these Adani Ambani groups. It doesn't bode well in an international standpoint. And again, auctionless award of spectrums. These things should be India should stay strong. We have such a roaring economy. B, we have such an excellent skilled workforce globally. Which is sought out globally, and we can stand on our own. But the biggest disadvantage is political will. And Dr. Swamy has said, be it defense, be it economy, right? Anywhere you go, that political will and the guts to take strong decisions is still something that we need to think about. This is my view.
Okay, just one more comment, and Dr. Swamy can also answer. General impression is that the Biden-Kamala Harris regime was not so friendly with India as the earlier Donald Trump regime was.
Correct.
Do you think with the coming back of Donald Trump, India will gain better chances for prospering?
I think I answered is he's a businessman. So if you negotiate well, it'll be better chances.
Arvind,
it's not a question only of us negotiating. If some other country offers a better deal in which India stands to lose, Trump won't hesitate a minute. He'll go with them, or he'll make you lower your prices, something or the other. I don't think there's any great love for India.
Right.
He's a total businessman, and he's cold-blooded. We have seen him. He has come through all these court cases. It hasn't affected his psychology at all. He's still the same, Mr. Trump. So he is the guy who now he's on the top, he's on the seventh heaven, and he's going to push around people who don't comply with his requirements.
Yeah, he's going to be very arrogant now.
No, I don't think it's arrogant. I definitely don't think it's going to be arrogant because he's learned his lesson. Arvindji, I'll tell you why. He survived his attempt on his life twice. He's more humbled man internally, but very strong-willed, strengthened by who he has faced. Okay, he has seen this. His priority is America first, nothing more, and his only priority is America first and nothing else. That's how I would state.
Ramesh, you mentioned about attempt on his life. Not that I subscribe to this view, but there's some the astrologer in India who has said that between now and January, there's still 2 more months to go, and he has predicted that there may be some more attempt on his life.
Could be, Doc. I'll tell you why. I think a lot of these things are also aware of. They do keep watch out because as I said, Democrats ran on a concept of hate Trump. The hatred that they've built among 60 million people in America is really sad to see. I have no problems in arguing on policies, on merit, or on issues, but creating a sense of hate is going to have an impact in some. And obviously, the American law enforcement is definitely aware of all of this. They are obviously, even the Secret Service, be the all the three-letter agencies here, they are aware of these threats. I mean, I have no doubt about it. But he's now president-elect, so he gets the most secure thing around him. So it's not very easy. So I would say that I just wish, because when some my friend asked me, he was not sure whether Trump. I said, you know what? God has a plan for Trump. Why would he save him twice? And after saying him twice, he would not make him lose. Why? So this is what I told him. They were not believe. 1 week ago, when I was arguing same thing, I was telling Dr. Swamy, in my view, he's going to win in a landslide. I was completely convinced. Everybody were doubtful. I said, no, I'm very convinced. Because being God-fearing, I see that God has saved a person twice not to lose, right? Like Bhagavan Krishna, when he lectured to Arjuna, it's not lectured for him to lose, it's for him to win, right? So that is how I look at it. That's my perspective. And it happened, thankfully, that's how I look at it.
We have almost gone on 67 minutes, but before we wind up, Arvind winds up the show, Dr. Swamy, a topic which Arvind touched and said it was a comment. I want both of you all, to Ramesh Swamy and Dr. Swamy, to comment. What will be Trump's stand on what is happening in our neighborhood, Bangladesh, the Hindus being butchered there and the Hindus being neglected there? What you think will be Trump's stand or action in what's happening there?
The man who is presently ad hoc president
advisor.
Is it called advisor?
Advisor to the government or the president or something, he has said.
He is 100% American man. So this man
a Biden man, Dr. Swamy, more than American, a Biden man.
No. I know his background very well. He's affiliated to some of those institutions in America which are very powerful. Okay. I hardly name them. You live in America.
Yes.
And he's a scholar, and he's been accepted. He's functioning, and I don't think that Biden would at all find it difficult for these people just to become his entourage. So therefore, I don't see any change in Bangladesh other than the track that they've been going on, and there's nothing for India in that. Certainly, for the sake of general opinion, the Indian minority who have chosen to live in that country, they will be provided sufficient protection by people from the administration of Donald Trump.
Arunji, I think Trump is very genuine when he said that he is outraged by what's happening to the Hindus. We would definitely see something happen because he's a very genuine person. That way, his sentiment that he said in a video and a tweet message is very genuine. I think we're going to see something happen. Bangladesh is basically a military junta running today, so they will be put in their place very soon. This is my opinion.
Okay, Arvind.
Right?
Okay.
Arvind,
I think we have already overrun time. It's almost 70 minutes now. And now he is not even formally taken over, Donald Trump. And by the time he takes over, there may be a lot of discussions and a lot of debates on whether he's going to be beneficial for India as compared to his previous regime or as compared to the Biden-Kamala Harris regime last 4 years. And there are many other questions which will arise, and we will debate and discuss these things, whether India can become Vishwaguru with the help of Donald Trump or without Donald Trump, or whether India becoming superpower will be challenged or hindered by US regime. These are the questions only time will tell, and we'll continue to debate these issues whenever these kind of issues arise, and we'll take up this topic. Thank you, Dr. Swamy, for initiating the discussion on Donald Trump's future. We have discussed this earlier. We discussed. I remember we discussed when Biden Kamala Harris regime took over 4 years back, and even in between with some experts. And every country has to have their own interest as a priority. So let us see what are the priorities for India government. Thank you, Ramesh, for giving us a lot of insight into this issue, being an Indian American, and this issue is important for us. We'll continue to discuss and debate these issues in time to come. Next Sunday, 17th of November, Dr. Swamy is in Prayagraj. We will not have this program, Words of Wisdom Gyan Ganga, on 17th. Next program will be on Sunday, 24th November. And I thank the technical team led by Ashish Shetty, Swaminathan, Tejas Navalgul, Gadgi Rakesh, Ishwar Iyer, Ajesh Nair, and Gurdas Shetty. And thanks to the anchors, Ramesh and Jagdish Shetty. And we'll be joining you again on 24th November, Sunday, with a new topic, Dr. Subramanian Swamy, and perhaps a new expert. Thank you, viewers, for enabling us to complete 250 episodes of this program. It's a huge success. It's a very important milestone in our journey. Thank you very much. Till we meet next time. Namaskar. Jai Hind.
Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.
Thank you. Thank you all.